All right, let's do a quick sizing video. I do need to set up a die, so I thought, well, it might be a good chance to show you guys how I set up my sizing die. If I don't know, I'm sure I've done it in a video somewhere, but never hurts to do it again. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and put my Witten die back in. Now, I had taken it out because I was playing with something else, and so it's a long story, but bottom line is I just need to put it back in and get it set up again. So it's a bushing die. I've got my carbide bushing. This happens to be a 312. So it goes down into my die. Now, for those that haven't seen any of my other videos, I do not decap when I size. I hate combining stages, and I know it makes for extra work, but I like isolating each thing for any number of reasons. You know, I've got my decapper here. I like to be able to decap if I need to without worrying about the sizing aspect. Even if I have a decapper on my sizing, I'd still have a decapping die just for, you know, things that get missed or if I'm playing around with something. And not only that, I don't like having to make two different adjustments on a single die. Now, that's just me. Plenty of people decap while they size, and it's not a big deal. It's just not how I like doing it. So you'll notice there's no decapper in here. Also, when we're using a bushing, we want to make sure that we don't have it cranked down into the die. So if you listen, hear that? You don't hear anything because right now this is cranked all the way down. So what I want to do is I'm going to back it off just a little bit. Do you hear that? Just a little bit of rattle, okay? So I'm going to tighten that down, and you want to hear just a little bit of rattle, and that means that the bushing is just floating in there a little bit, and you really want that to help make sure it centers up on the neck, and it also helps ensure that you aren't in any way coming down too far and crushing the shoulder. So you never want to size, or at least in my opinion, you never want to size the entire neck. You want to come down, you know, like I come down about 3/4, give or take on the neck. It's never all the way down to the shoulder junction. So that's why I do that. So we've got our die ring, and we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. You just throw your ram up. Now, it'll be very exciting in the future because I have on order it's like a competition shell holder kit that 419 is doing, and I'm really excited about that. So I've already got that on order, so that'll be good. All right, so we've got this set pretty much just right at shell holder height. So my ram still, you know, it still goes up and down what it needs to. And we're going to go ahead and take a reading on a fired piece of brass, okay? So using my Wilson gauge here, 1, 2, it's on number 3. Let's see here. Well, I shouldn't say it. Technically it's on 22, but coming backwards, it's on the 3rd notch. So let's see here. So that was about the same. So it's sitting right at about 21 and a half, give or take half a thousandths here. 21, they're all coming in at 21.5, so no give or take actually. Okay, so 21.5 is where they're measuring out. I would like to bump them, you know, 2 or 3 thousandths. So let's just see where this initial setting is. Okay, so that's moved it about 1 thousandths, right at about 1 thousandths. So let's see what this does here. So typically when I'm setting up, I don't want to use the same piece of brass, so I set it aside. I'll still run it through again, but I want to get an accurate measurement off a fresh piece of brass, not one that's already been sized. So. All right, what do we got here? So same thing, right about 1 thousandths, maybe 1/1000 and a half. I didn't move it a whole bunch. Okay. So this is probably going to get me right at about 2/1000, and then we're going to do another test that I'll show you here. All right, yeah, so that's good. Okay, so something to keep in mind, let me go ahead and lock this down before I forget, but something to keep in mind is that when you are using a sizing die, especially on single stage, but I had it even on my Dillon, there are times where you cannot get enough shoulder bump without maybe having your gunsmith, or if you're skilled enough, which I don't even like doing it because I'm not that skilled, but you can kind of just sand the bottom of your die, and that'll just give you a little extra ability. You don't want to go too far or else you start affecting the actual sizing. So, you know, you really got to be careful. Ideally, you'd have a gunsmith, you know, just put it on their lathe and just barely take it back and smooth out the entrance for you. But, you know, I've seen people do it with sandpaper, you know, 1000 grit, 800 grit paper. But you can take a little bit off the bottom of the die if you need to get more shoulder bump. Now, I'm sitting pretty good here, so let me get the camera readjusted and I'll show you how I double check that this is good. All right, so what do we have here? We have a bolt without, so I've taken the firing pin assembly out. Okay, so there's no firing pin, no spring, nothing, just a stripped bolt. Now here is a fired piece of brass that has not been sized, and if you watch my bolt, it's got a little bit of tension here. Okay, it's not a lot, but it's there. And then this is my sized piece of brass. See the difference on how it fell over here? So again, if I take this one out, and then this one will have just gotten a little bit of push there, but here, watch the difference. So if we put this on, okay, see, nothing happens, right? So the bolt isn't falling. I have to physically push, you know, which is shoving the shoulder in up there. And then if I take this one that's sized and put it in, see how it just falls? So that tells me that it moved the shoulder back enough, and that's where I want it. So that's how I like the feel of it. So let's put that back in the to be sized. This is my one that's good to go. I cranked down my die. Now I'm going to start sizing. So let me get back to that. Alrighty, so I got 99 in the bag. I will probably stop periodically here just to make sure. So we'll run a couple. Okay, so let's double check our reading here. Okay. And I'm gonna just behind you here, you can't see me doing it, but I'm just gonna do a real quick bolt check again. Yep. So bolt falls real nice on that. All right, so let's have at it. All right, let's check one midstream here, make sure it's good to go. All right. All right, that's it. So now that everything's been sized, I'm going to go ahead and throw it in my tumbler for about 5 minutes just to knock everything off. And then it'll get trimmed, chamfered, deburred, and ready for prime. So that's how I do it. Hopes it helps you out. Talk to you later. Bye.